But okay, we have Attorney Chandra on the line here.
Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you great.
Thanks. Oh, we can hear you great too in here. That's a little different than the phone lines, Joe.
Yeah,
that's nice audio.
Can we turn that up a little bit? Sorry, Joe.
Sorry, buddy.
Sorry. Hold on 1 second. How's it going this morning, sir?
It's going well. Thank you. And
good.
Thanks for having me on and your focus on these cases.
Well, thanks for coming. We appreciate it. I reached out to him yesterday. He's like, I'm in.
Let's do it.
I'm in.
Yeah.
All right. So how do we say your first name? Let me make sure you say it right.
Subodh. It's rhymes.
Subodh.
It's like rhymes with abode, and the last name Chandra rhymes with tundra.
So Chandra.
Subodh.
Okay, got it. All right. So I wanted to meet you a little bit first because, like I said, you've kind of the last 2 years, I guess a year and a half, you've been in the news in Youngstown a lot. He was the lawsuit for Ricky Morrison.
Really? I didn't know that. Okay.
Yes, you did.
I didn't know that he was the. No, I don't pay enough attention. I really didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No,
dude. Like all the videos I made and everything, you never knew it was him.
It was him. I didn't know that. I'm dead serious.
What he's saying is he doesn't pay attention to your video.
I mean, I'm trying here.
I apologize, gentlemen, but I did not know that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why. Yeah.
No.
So he's been in the news around here. And for those of you who aren't familiar, there was a janitor who got fired for what we believe is his political beliefs.
Yeah.
The Mahoney County
sat at the wrong table at the lunch. It was in the cafeteria
at a recount. Yep, and got fired. And him and Marty Desmond, who's also a local name.
Yes,
and
I knew Marty. Yeah. I knew Marty.
Marty works
for a long time. Okay. Yes, I knew that now. I know that now.
There we go. So tell us a little bit about you. Where you're from, when'd you start, all that fun stuff.
Well, I grew up in Norman, Oklahoma. I was born and raised in Oklahoma. And I moved to Ohio after living other places. I initially moved to Ohio to work for former Ohio Governor Dick Celeste.
Okay.
Went to law school and then eventually made my way back to Ohio because my wife was from Cleveland Heights. And we settled in Northeast Ohio. It's been, it'll be 29 years next spring.
So you know what I hear there? You know what I hear being a married man? I hear you went where your wife wanted to go.
Well, let me just say,
that's what
I was in Los Angeles before.
Okay.
And actually, we did have we were in agreement, but we were weighing all the different things about whether she should move there, or I should move here. And we just decided this is a much better place to raise a family, a much better place.
I agree with that as a father of three. And I mean, we all grew up here 100%. So you went to law school. What did you, we were kind of going back and forth in emails. What did you start in law when you came out of law? Were you a prosecutor? What was it?
Well, so I initially worked as counsel to the head of the American Bar Association. I'd always been interested in public service, which is how I wound up working for Governor Celeste.
Okay.
And I actually didn't think I'd really be practicing law. I thought I'd be doing politics or policy or something like that. Well,
right.
It turns out that student loan debt hits you hard and like a hard reality in the face.
Right.
And I realized I really needed to pay down that significant debt I had accumulated through undergrad and law school. And so I wound up going to a large firm in Los Angeles, big business litigation firms. There I was defending the cities of Los Angeles and Beverly Hills in complex police litigation, entertainment litigation, represented hard copy against libel charges by Michael Jackson. I mean, it was an interesting place to work. But then came to a big firm in Cleveland and then finally got my break to go back to public service. And I served as a federal prosecutor in the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Ohio.
Wow.
And got recruited to serve as the law director of the city of Cleveland under then Mayor Jane Campbell. And after that, started my own firm. And we've been doing mostly plaintiff civil rights work ever since, do some white collar criminal defense work, but mostly plaintiff civil rights work for the last now 21 years.
And when you say plaintiff civil rights work, we're talking about what exactly? I mean, yeah.
So it runs the range from, say, First Amendment litigation, like the Ricky Morrison case, where what was being alleged was that he was retaliated against for exercising his First Amendment rights.
Right.
To police misconduct cases like the representation of the family of Tamir Rice, the 12-year-old boy who was killed by Cleveland police.
Right.
Employment retaliation litigation. So say, for example, we represented an associate dean of Case Western Reserve Law School who sued the dean and the law school for allegedly retaliating against him for complaining about his observations of sexual harassment of other people.
Wow.
So those kinds of cases. We also, do some work in a space in Ohio that we kind of helped forge the path on, which is civil liability for criminal acts, which you've seen in these complaints that we filed. That those complaints are replete with that. Ohio has an unusual statute that allows you to bring a civil claim for any criminal act that's been committed against you. And that means you can look at the whole criminal code, and if you've got the evidence, and that's only on a preponderance of the evidence standard, not beyond a reasonable doubt.
Okay.
So sometimes crime victims need that remedy as well. Sometimes the prosecutor won't pursue their matter, but they have to pursue it civilly. So we've been doing that as well.
So that's just it's not just an Ohio thing, but that is, like that's not in every state where you can go civilly and under civil charges and criminal charges, or not charges, but cases like that. I mean, there's
only a few states in the country. I don't have it at hand, but we did the research. So we had the leading case in the U.S. in the Supreme Court of Ohio.
Yeah.
2 cases that held that, that's a real thing. And the statute says what it says. It means what it says. And even the very conservative Supreme Court of Ohio said, listen, this is what the General Assembly wants. This is what it gets, that crime victims have remedies in the civil realm.
So and in Ohio then, so you can be, what would the word be? I'm so not a lawyer, but I guess right. So you could be you can get a civil case against you and a criminal case against you, right? That's.
Yeah, or you can just pursue your civil remedy if the prosecutor won't do anything about it.
Right. Huh.
Now, no, look, we're careful. I think we as lawyers have an ethical responsibility to not just willy-nilly throw out the word criminal, even in a civil case. So,
right.
When we take a case on, we've investigated, we determine, look, is there a legitimate basis for saying that what occurred here was criminal in nature? Does it meet the statute? Does it meet the case law? And there's one other remedy that people have in Ohio that this one really people don't know very much about at all, at least this cause of action. They're called Buddenberg claims. It's under Ohio Revised Code 2307.60, what I'm telling you about, which is the civil liability for criminal acts. But there's another statute in Ohio that allows private citizens like yourselves, if you feel like you're not going to get action from your local police or prosecutor, you can file an affidavit in front of a judge and ask the judge to rule on probable cause, just the way a police officer would, and initiate a criminal charge right there directly in court. Now, if the court says, I think there's probable cause, I'm going to issue an arrest warrant or a summons, it then goes to the prosecutor, and the prosecutor has discretion to say, I'm not going to pursue it. But at least you can try to hold people accountable through that mechanism.
So, like, if the police aren't doing something, the judge actually could do something to get it in front of the prosecutor. Then, correct?
Yes, or you can file that formal document in front of the prosecutor.
Wow.
But usually, at that point, they may not do anything.
Right. Wow. Now, you quoted case law, your law stuff yesterday in the email when I was like, you're only allowed to talk about certain things with the Ursuline cases, right?
Right. We have ethical constraints as lawyers into what we can and can't talk about in pending litigation. And I actually teach national seminars on that subject. And so I just wanted to kind of, it can't be the typical MLO brothers free-for-all, man.
Isaac, I think he's talking to you.
As much as I would love to get into that flow, it's got
right. Right. All right. Well, that's fair. So
I've got to be a little more.
I'll be him, sir. I promise.
We don't want to he says something wrong and kill his whole case and then we get blamed for it, everything else we get blamed for.
Right.
So what can you talk about? Again, question wise, I've read the 200 pages of the case.
Yeah. What are the most important things that you want the people to know that you're allowed to talk about?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Well, so let me just start off by saying this. I know that many of your listeners are familiar with the allegations of the complaint, and I can go over those briefly, but
please,
and give you some of the highlights. But before I do that, and I may reiterate this a few times, especially at the end, one of the things that's been remarkable since September 2nd, when we filed the first lawsuit, which is the big 200-page comprehensive hazing lawsuit against Ursuline and the Diocese and individual coaches and administrators. The remarkable thing has been that other victims have come forward and witnesses have come forward. And it's not entirely surprising to me. We've had that happen in other cases before, most memorably in that case, Western Reserve suit I was telling you about, that you put it out in the universe and there are then people who suddenly are fortified and have the courage to step forward about something that has been disturbing them. So you saw us then by September 8th. I mean, within 6 days, we had filed the second, oh no, I think it was September 10th, we had filed the next complaint on behalf of this little girl. And she had been really a young girl when the things first allegedly started happening to her. So we have others that have reached out. We're investigating them. We do anticipate that in the coming weeks, we will be filing additional actions.
Wow.
Or amending the hazing suit, or both. And that's something I think that is very important. And going back to the ethical issue I was telling you about, I'm expressly permitted to call out to new potential victims or witnesses and urge their help and cooperation. We need their assistance. Even if a victim or a witness says, look, I don't want to bring my own case, that's fine. But what we would really like is the help, and the victims really need the help that in the existing cases need the help on gaining additional information so that we have a bigger picture of what the patterns of conduct or misconduct were at the school. So that has really been an important thing. And I would encourage anyone listening who has information that might be relevant to these suits and who may be a victim to please contact us at chandralaw.com, CHANDRALAW.com. There's a secure contact form there. Get in touch, give us a few details. It may take us a while to get back to you. Please be patient because we have been hearing from a lot of people, but we would really, the victims would really appreciate your help. And you know what? It has made them feel not alone because they were feeling very isolated and hurt and traumatized by what they allege happened to them, and knowing that other people are standing up for them has really meant a great deal in alleviating their suffering a little bit.
We have had people reach out to us on message saying they want to be anonymous and stuff like that, but literally saying, thank you for doing what you guys are doing, like you just said, and like coming forward and saying, this has been a problem for years and no one ever wants to stand up against the church or the diocese or the schools, which is crazy to me. What
I really should have said to you at the outset is, again, thank you for what you have been doing to shine a light on this, because that too has meant a great deal to the victims. And to hear the sentiment of the vast majority of your listeners and viewers, and of course there are some people who are skeptical, and that's fine. And there are some people who just will never change their minds, and that's odd. But that really means something to them because they didn't know that. See, they didn't know that. They were living with a feeling of, and still are, with a great deal of shame and indignity. And now at least they understand. And I think this is community response has been sending them the message, not only that they're not alone, but what they allege happened to them isn't normal. It's just not normal. It's not okay. And a big part of what the suit is alleging is that these young folks, by what they experienced and say they experienced, that is, in the suits, they lost their faith in adults and in systems and in institutions, and lost their faith in faith institutions, ironically enough, in terms of the kind of accountability that they would have expected. And that feeling of betrayal is expressly stated in the complaint as a big part of why they have been suffering.
Yeah, makes sense. So what can you tell us? I mean, again, I know it's a 200-page, the first one's a 200.
Sure.
I mean, anything you want to highlight? I know you said you're limited on time. I mean, you want to highlight through the cases or?
Well, so what the suits are fundamentally alleging, both suits are alleging, is that at Ursuline, the football program was more important than basic humanity and decency, institutionally, and that this went back years. And what's interesting is that we're hearing from other people as well, which is why we're encouraging even more to come forward, echoing that theme, that some of this stuff isn't necessarily legally actionable, but they'll give little examples of just, it's always football players. It's always football players. It's always venerate the football players, treat them as kind of false idols. And that really is the underlying theme that you see throughout these. And so I do want to address maybe the diocese's response. You may have seen that we put out a statement on behalf of the victims in response to Father Murphy and the board statement, which was, deeply troubling to the victims. And that really, that doubling down and digging into the foxhole with the administrators is very troubling to the victims, because if Father Murphy and the board have seen what we've seen, they claim they've seen all available evidence. Does that mean that they've accessed the non-disseminable child porn videos that we have in our possession? We've represented to the court that we have that are alleged to be in the possession of one of those administrators who recorded them off of a mother's phone, according to the complaint. I mean, there's a lot of questions here. If you've seen that, are you saying that's okay? We don't care. It doesn't matter. We're not going to hold the football team or the people who are involved anyway accountable.
Right.
What about the administrators? Okay, you say they reported it to the police. You claim you did a full investigation. Then if you did that back in June, why did it take until September to put 2 people on leave and to suspend one?
I've been saying that since freaking they did it. 100%.
Pressure.
Yeah, the pressure. Exactly. Well, because they knew they messed up. I saw one video.
Wait. I got one other question occurred to me also, which is, why are 2 people placed on leave pending investigation, 2 of the assistant coaches, if you already completed your investigation?
Right.
Ooh, good question. Yeah.
The problem with putting out a statement like that is that for lawyers like me, litigators, ex-prosecutors, I mean, we're trained. I mean, I've literally taken courses from the FBI and the CIA on interrogation and interviewing people and eliciting the truth and catching lies. So when you see those kinds of statements, you're left wondering, what were people in a back room thinking when they crafted this statement? How did they think that this was going to help them? And look, again, I don't want to go beyond that. We put out the statement.
Yeah.
It's, again, expressly permitted by the ethics rules to respond to something somebody else has said publicly. But our clients are certainly left wondering when they're going to see the accountability that they so fervently desire and need.
I saw one of the videos. You saw the one video, right?
Yes.
Okay. And again, there was no nudity, but there was, like we've talked about it, a kid getting held down, dry hump for all intents and purposes by 2 players. Right. Just that was disturbing to me.
Right.
You've seen the other videos, and I don't know what you can talk about, what you can't talk about, but I talked to another attorney who saw them, and he said they were vile, disgusting. That, I mean, can you confirm all of that for the viewers that they're bad? I mean, it's not like people aren't, like some of the things we're reading on Facebook from some of the parents and the family members of the kids who are listed in the court docket as defendants. They're saying, oh, none of this ever happened. I mean, it's just denial. I mean, can you confirm these videos are terrible and everything else?
Well, so look, we are, as lawyers, when we sign our name to a complaint, complaints sometimes have all kinds of hyperbole and maybe exaggerated statements. We tend not to do that. We're very, again, I'm very old school that way. It's like, do I think I can prove this sentence? Do I think I can prove this sentence, either through a witness, a document, or both, or a video?
So you're just not writing fluff. You're not writing fluff in there. You can back everything up in that court thing you're saying.
it's how I roll. Okay.
Yeah.
And it just it pays off over the long term. And look, we get 50 inquiries to our office a day seeking legal services. So by the time that we've vetted something and picked something, we feel pretty good about it. Doesn't mean we're going to win every time. Doesn't mean, we're right 100% of the time. But so the case has been vetted. We go through and we write this, we edit, we fact check. We do where I'm going with this is we specifically represent to the court not only do we describe the videos in some detail, we then specifically represent to the court, we're not going to submit this to the court right now on the open record or even under seal because of the risk of those data going out into the world.
Right.
But we have them in our possession. We're making that representation to the court. We have them, and we have them. Okay. We can't sign a document claiming that we have videos that we don't have videos. I mean, I would lose my ticket as a lawyer and I'd get sent to court. So we've made that representation under our solemn obligation under what's called Rule 11 of the Rules of Civil Procedure, subject to sanctions, that we have them. We have them. Now, as to what they depict, we've described that in some detail in the complaint. It is foul. It is gross. It is disturbing. If you're a parent and this happened to your child, involuntarily, you would be extremely upset. And as the father of 3 young adult triplet boys, that's a fact.
Triplets boys.
We could have a podcast just on that right there. I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah.
You could. But as the father of triplet boys, I can tell you, I would be utterly appalled if this happened. I'd be very upset, and I'd be trying to take action in the same way that the mom did in the Hazing case. So the bottom line, and since then, I've already publicly announced this in the hope to try to get other victims and witnesses to come forward. Since then, we've obtained one additional video we weren't aware of since the complaint was filed, which is why these calls to action are so important. And we've obtained one other disturbing video of more nonsense hazing stuff going on in the program, similar type of activity, different people involved. It wasn't our client. And so that's part of the pattern of what's alleged in the complaint, of coaches just generally understanding that this kind of stuff is going on and not doing about it.
Right.
Not doing anything about it.
Isaac, what?
Real fast.
Mail call.
Sorry, this is real important.
We got a big one today.
Yeah, we got.
That's a lawyer. We don't typically talk to lawyers.
You better get out of here, Isaac.
I ain't doing that.
Get out of here. We got a lawyer on. We'll see you, buddy. Sorry.
You were just served with a complaint?
Yeah, Isaac, is there any complaints in there?
Mail call. I think
Speaking of that, what we're talking about, that was actually one of my questions. Do you ever do defense stuff in case we ever need you? I got that.
Occasionally.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. We're gonna just
call it a favor.
I mean, we got Beatrice too if we need him. We got Beatrice. We can call it. I mean, we could have a hell of a freaking attorney group there defending us. And again, I know you're cut on time here. So, I mean, anything else?
I've got a little bit of time right now.
You got a little bit of time? Awesome. Okay.
I'll let you know when I need to go.
Beautiful. And then I'm trying to think. So we got all that. So where does this go from here now? Like as far as timing, as far as what's next? Again, you're talking to loan officers and
timeline.
Timeline. Give us a timeline here.
Yeah. So we've got some obligations to confer with the lead institutional defendants counsel. And we will be doing that because the court expects people to confer and then try to lay out a proposed schedule to the court for the case. This is a pretty complex case with a lot of potential witnesses, and if it really is, if it does continue to completion, you're talking about years and years and years, and at the trial court level, you're probably talking, a year and a half, 2 years of effort, because a lot of depositions would have to be taken, a lot of witness statements, a lot of exchanges of documents, text messages, videos, data. That takes a long time. I mean, think about Snapchat alone and the kind of volumes of data from kids' accounts that would have to be poured over. That's true of law enforcement as well. And I do want to say this on behalf of the law enforcement investigation, not on behalf of it, but in defense of it at this point. I know that there's a lot of people in the community very upset, saying things like, why haven't charges been brought already? And that's understandable. And certainly, our clients would feel the same way. But the reality is that an investigation of this nature that has so many different potential witnesses and perpetrators at different levels, and so many different potential crimes that have to be investigated, federal, state, and local meaning multiple states.
Yeah.
In those circumstances, an investigation like this will take time. Not only do all the witnesses and potential perpetrators, efforts have to be made to try to talk to them. They may get lawyers. It takes time to work out schedules. But in addition to that, you're talking about a lot of data, Snapchat data and other data that have to be gone through from these children's accounts. So we're talking, it's going to be a while, I think, if there's going to be action on that front. What I can say is that, just give you my impression as victims counsel, not only in the civil matter, but also in our cooperation, our clients' cooperation with law enforcement, is I am persuaded of their sincerity and commitment to trying to get to the bottom of this, and that they're trying to look at all of it and figure out who's responsible for what. Believe me, I would be the first person, and everybody knows my reputation. Like in the Tamir Rice case, I was very vocal that I understood that the prosecutor was trying to throw the case against the shooting officer under the bus from the outset because of the sort of the way it was conducted. That is not my sentiment here. Okay. I am persuaded from our discussions with law enforcement that they are doing what they are supposed to do and doing their diligence and working very hard. And I might at the end disagree with judgments that they make, but I can't at this point question at least the officers' commitment and the FBI's commitment to trying to get to the bottom of this.
So lay off the Youngstown Police Department, jerk.
I didn't say Youngstown Police Department. Have you?
I did. I was saying they were taking too long.
They did send us, when they sent us that document.
The redacted document kind of pissed me off a little bit.
That was
the completely redacted document.
That was a little smart ass.
Yeah, that was totally.
Well, but it's legitimate under Ohio law that when you have an active pending investigation, you've got to be careful about revealing that stuff because it gives too many breadcrumbs to potential.
So
the thing is with lawyers,
I hate it too. I do public records litigation. I hate it.
I have a question. I have a question. I have a lawyer question that we've run into before. Have you ever gotten a request as a lawyer and you're like, I am going to use every bit of legal suave to respond in the most
lawyer
way to give this person absolutely nothing while using the utmost lawyer jargon I possibly can? Do you guys ever do that? Like weaponize it in a way?
So that's usually the defense lawyer tactic. Okay.
It's so annoying. Yeah. It is so annoying.
We've done public, we've done public, freedom of information requests.
Yeah.
And we'll get this,
and then
we'll get the lawyer jargon back on why we're not allowed to use it.
It's come on, dude. Can you talk to me like a human? Can you just talk to me like a human and tell me you don't want to give it to me because you just don't want to?
I don't know if it makes you feel any better or worse, Isaac, but those are form letters you're getting.
Oh really? Is it like they add in the words?
They've just got their can. They've done this a million times. They're just copying and pasting for prior things. It's not personal. It's just business.
Now he's not making me feel special anymore.
I'll tell you what. Though. It has influenced me to use ChatGPT
100%.
to respond to emails in work using that, to just be a smart ass.
Yeah, that's fair.
To higher ups as well as at the bank and in real estate.
Do you ever use ChatGPT for anything? ChatGPT?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting tool.
See, I'm not learning either.
Gemini is also interesting. We've been. I mean, look, you have to be so careful about it, and I'm very worried about what's going to happen to our world because people just assume everything it's saying is right and true.
Yeah.
Right.
I do 100%.
I have fed it. I'll give you an example. Okay, I have fed it. Say a 200-page complaint or a complaint, and I'll say, okay, draft me a first draft of a media release. Okay.
Yep.
And I'll give it my website and my blog and my style, and I'll give it all kinds of grammatical instructions and all my nitpicks. I mean, the more detailed you are with ChatGPT and these other AI, with your I mean, you got to be detailed in the instructions, not just say you figure it out. But once you've done that, give me a first draft, right? And it gives me something that's kind of beautiful. It looks like a good first draft. It does what I like to do: use bullet points and numbered items, and make it visually appealing and easy to read. But then I give it to the law clerk and I say, okay, now fact check the living hell out of this as compared to the original draft. And the law clerk, in one instance, is a former journalist who's, very good and cares about facts. And then that person comes back all frustrated, going, this thing hallucinated quotes, hallucinated facts, hallucinated statistics out of the document. Say the statistic was 1,100 and that randomly said 700. And so you're sitting there going, what's wrong with you? Then you go back and you remonstrate it and say you made all these errors, and then it falls all over itself, pretending to
I'm so sorry.
Like C3PO, right? C3PO, and I'm so sorry, sir. But then it does it again and does it again. So you cannot rely on it other than as a starting point.
I agree.
And people the problem with AI is that it is making people lose their critical thinking skills and their ability to do anything themselves, when if anything, it should be heightening our critical thinking skills to say, all right, take a first crack at something, help me out here. But then now I have to really turn my brain on and check every sentence, every phrase,
I use it like you do, but what it helps me do, honestly, is it helps me put my thoughts together. And then I use it from there, if that makes sense. And I adjust it and stuff like that. That like he's saying, but like I've done it for the loan stuff before, and it's totally wrong. It's totally wrong. I'm like, what the heck?
It really comes down to your input, and then like
double checking it.
You're double checking it, and double check. It'll give you sources now. Double checking its sources to make sure that where it's pulling info from isn't total BS.
I'll give you an example of how dumb AI can be persistently. So I bet you this will still work. If people have an iPhone and you ask Siri, tell me about Jewish space lasers, which is a really stupid, long thing said by Marjorie Taylor Greene. If you ask ChatGPT, I did it as recently as 2 weeks ago, and I've been doing it all year periodically, trying to see if they fixed it, because people have alerted Apple about this. If you do it, it will tell you a bogus fact about alleged Jewish space lasers, citing a source. And which don't exist, by the way, listeners. That's just a dumb, stupid thing that Marjorie Taylor Greene said, and about the cause of wildfires. Okay. And it cites it as fact. Apple cites it as fact, the Siri's response. And it has been the case for months, despite people, talking on social media about it and alerting Apple. They haven't fixed it. Wow. So we're entering a brave new world of stupidity. If we think our population is subpar in its critical thinking skills now, wait till you see us 10 or 15 years from now.
Yeah, man.
People over relying on this. But it's a tool, like anything else. It's a tool, and you can screw it up and you can misuse it if you're not careful with how you use it.
Before you go, I got a couple more questions. Away from Jewish space lasers, back to the actual case. This is what we do here. We go all over the place. What do you think? And again, if you can comment on it, some of these schools now are canceling, like Austin Town canceled, Warren canceled, Canton McKinley canceled.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on this? I mean, comments on this? I mean, did you expect this? I mean, what
can you comment on this?
Can you comment on this?
Well, not really. Let me zoom out and just give you a general observation. Okay. Right. So all of those schools and teams and their leaders have an obligation to their own students, to keep them safe, to keep them on the moral and upright path, to do what they think is right and in the best interests of their students and their schools. And so I won't question their judgment one way or the other on what they think is the right decision for their school.
Right.
It was certainly not an objective of the litigation, and you'll see it's not a remedy that's requested in the complaint, that somehow the football program at Ursuline end or die or anything like that. What our clients are seeking is accountability from top to bottom as to those who are responsible. The problem is that the complaint is alleging that a huge number, in excess of 20 students, were involved, football players were involved in the hazing one way or the other, either as active participants or people holding someone down, or observers who did nothing, or people who were recording and then disseminating what amounts to child porn. Those are the allegations of the complaint. So in those circumstances, what our clients want to see, need to see, to feel at least some partial satisfaction here, is accountability, including among the players and the administrators and the coaches. If that doesn't seem to be happening from what they can tell, there's a lot of talk about it, but it doesn't seem to be happening for some of the reasons we've discussed. And under those circumstances, schools are going to make the decisions that are right for them. And in my client's humble view, the administrators and the diocese and the people in charge are bringing this upon themselves by failing to do. And these kids, even the innocent kids that didn't do anything, are all suffering as a result of failures at the top. And so that's really all I can say about that, because those are the themes of the complaint. But I'm a fan of consequence culture.
Yeah.
And that's really what we're talking about is occurring here. And it's sad and it's unfortunate, but the responsibility for that lies at the administrative level, at the diocese, and at the school.
Perfect. Well, I think that's a good one to end on. I appreciate it. Can we have you back on again if we get something good? Something comes up. Other court case, because you have all. I follow you on Facebook. You do get not just in the Youngstown area. I mean, all over court cases and stuff like that. I'd love to cover some of the stuff that you have, because this stuff really interests us because of the stuff that his practice goes after is stuff that we go along with too, with the government overreach, failure to the citizens, that kind of stuff. So we'd love to have you on again.
We'd be happy to do it. And again, I would like one last time to say to witnesses and victims out there, we would love to hear from you at chandralaw.com through our contact form, because you won't be alone and you will really help these victims. So thank you. Thank you for your interest in this.
Thanks a lot. And we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
All right. We'll see you. All right. Bye.